Well, hello there. Welcome to my channel, Auntie Essie's Chat Cafe. Auntie Essie here, bringing you another edition of our Spirit-Filled Sunday. How are you doing this Sunday? How is the Spirit moving in you this day? How is the Spirit stirring in you? Or what way is the Spirit stirring you this day? And how are you stirring the Spirit? How are you feeling the Spirit? In what way are you moving the Spirit this day? Or in what ways is the Spirit moving you this day? For our Spirit-Filled Sunday this week, I feeling and thinking that I will continue a little bit in the vein of last Spirit-Filled Sunday. I believe our guidance was to speak up when we witness an injustice. And in continuing that vein, because this week also has been very challenging for many people, because people are feeling afraid. And I'm just going to, due to the results of the US elections, people are afraid because of the president-elect. The president, Donald Trump, who is now the president-elect, because I think mainly not because of him being elected as so much as the messages, the way, the things he was saying during the campaign, and has left a lot of people feeling afraid. And I don't blame them, because I was feeling the same way. And also, it has emboldened some groups to think that they can speak up or speak in any way they choose, because some of that vitriol that, it's moving north. It has moved into some of it is moving into Canada. I'm not going to say it didn't exist before, but now it recently, as of a couple of days ago, heard and saw a couple of posters about how I'm not even going to dignify these groups by naming them, from a group that has been associated with the president-elect, group or supporters, were campaigning at now trying to promote that kind of attitude here as well. There are some flyers targeting a certain specific immigrant community in my city. So I am thinking, well, I know I'm feeling disheartened and a little helpless. I fell back on what I normally do, which is my faith. I've fallen back on my faith and my personal spirituality. I thought I would share something again and call on each and everyone watching this to take heart. Even if you're disheartened, if you're afraid, we can all do something, because we always see, when we stop seeing the other, when we don't know anything about each other, when we don't make an effort to learn about each other. And I think that ultimately that's what we are being called to. The divine creator that I believe created all things and whose energy flows through all of us and through everything, invites us to get to know one another. That way we are more likely to see our similarities rather than our differences. Yes, we are unique, we have diversity, but there's also unity in diversity. So for this week, I'm once again going to be using the 52 ways to make a difference cards by Lynn Gordon. And the card that I'm going to, I shuffled them earlier, so let's see the card that I'm going to, yes, I'm going to pull this card. It's called Cultural Mind Expansion. The reason why I think this card is important, I've read it before for myself, you know, a few weeks ago. The reason why I think it's important is it makes, the more we do something like cultural mind expansion, it makes the people, the groups, or the people we refer to as those people, seem less those people, more like us, and it brings us to the understanding that we are all on the same journey. So the card reads, you don't have to travel thousands of miles to be enriched and enlivened by cultures vastly different from your own. Take a cultural adventure in the closest city and explore different ethnic neighborhoods like Chinatown or Japantown, or spend some time with an acquaintance who grew up in another country and compare your experiences. Get curious. How do their parents discipline their children? Do male friends touch each other? What could you buy at the average corner store? Expanding your mind this way will give you the perspective on your own culture and keep you from forgetting that we share the world with people who are both vastly different and remarkably similar to ourselves. Let me read that again. You don't have to travel thousands of miles to be enriched and enlivened by cultures vastly different from your own. Take a cultural adventure in the closest city, and explore different ethnic neighborhoods like Chinatown or Japantown, or spend some time with an acquaintance who grew up in another country and compare your experiences. Get curious. How do their parents discipline their children? Do male friends touch each other? What could you buy at the average corner store? Expanding your mind this way will give you perspective on your own culture and keep you from forgetting that we share the world with people who are both vastly different and remarkably similar to ourselves. So that is our invitation to expand our mind culturally. And so my question to you, tribe, is, what cultures are you uncomfortable with? What groups of people do you find uncomfortable or do you find challenging to get to know? How are you going to culturally expand your mind this week? Think of the city or the town or the country that you live in. What can you do to expand your mind culturally? And because I believe expanding our minds culturally promotes less seeing people as other or as those people, and promotes seeing people as, oh, they're very similar to me, that we all have the same concerns, we all have the same joys and heartaches, and to see our similarities rather than our differences. So that is the charge for you this week. And so what cultures do you find fascinating? What cultures do you find less fascinating? The cultures that you don't find fascinating, is it because you don't know anything about them, or because you have some misconceptions about those cultures? So that is my question for you. So how are you going to allow Spirit to lead you this week to explore other cultures, to expand your mind culturally, to expand your mind, your and your perspective of other cultures. What would you do? What would you do? What are you going to do? What would you find easy to do? What do you think you'll find more challenging to do? For me, myself, it's not so much as it's what I find challenging is possibly maybe some foods, but even at that, most cultures I may like certain foods. For example, let's take Korean food. I like Korean barbecue. I really love Korean barbecue. I would eat kimchi, not a lot, but I'm open to trying. There are some foods I've tried and I'm like, no, this is not for me. I prefer for example, I have friends that love pho, which is like the Vietnamese noodle soup, but I like the Vietnamese wrap sandwich is much better than pho. But I'm willing to try. Let's see. Filipino food, I prefer satay to other things. I love Thai food. I try all sorts of things Thai. So I'm open to trying different things, and which I find it really helps me in terms of I use food as a way of getting to know other cultures. So that really helps me to gain understanding. And I think when we share food, it breaks down barriers too. So what would you do this week? What are you going to do this week to expand your mind culturally? So I am going to read this again, and I'm doing this in hopes that we will make some efforts to get to know other cultures, to break down some barriers so that the fear and the negativity and the tension that many of us are feeling will dissipate somewhat. So that is my hope, that by extending ourselves to understand another culture, to learn about maybe their food, to get to know somebody who is different than us, somebody who may hold different views, different faith, we will come to see that we are all basically the same. So tribe, let me read this one more time to you. You don't have to travel thousands of miles to be enriched and enlivened by cultures vastly different from your own. Take a cultural adventure in the closest city and explore different ethnic neighborhoods like Chinatown or Japantown, or spend some time with an acquaintance who grew up in another country and compare your experiences. Get curious. How do their parents discipline their children? Do male friends touch each other? What could you buy at the average corner store? Expanding your mind this way will give you perspective on your own culture and keep you from forgetting that we share the world with people who are both vastly different and remarkably similar to ourselves. So once again, tribe, that is our charge. Let's culturally expand our mind this week. The call of the week is cultural mind expansion. So what are you going to do this week to culturally expand your mind? Are you going to try some new foods? Are you going to make an effort to make a friend from another culture, to talk to them, to understand, to find out more about them a little bit? And so I truly would love to hear from you. What kind of things you attempted this week? Was it easy for you? Was it challenging for you? In what ways was it easy for you? In what way was it challenging for you? I would truly love to hear from you. So let's get the discussion going by your comments down below. I truly welcome. And this is Auntie Essie saying thank you so much for watching this. And please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, press that subscribe button. Thank you again. Stay blessed. Goodbye for now.